Welcome back. Today, do not allow cancel culture to happen by Konstantin Kisin.
He has a message to the world, apparently.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Do not allow it to happen. So let's figure out
Did we ever really
Why?
want it to happen?
where it's happening.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's begin.
A rare victory for free speech. Comedian and author Konstantin Kisin went viral after
Oh, I
taking
said his
on
name
woke
right.
culture in an Oxford Union speech. Let's have a look at some of the highlights.
This country is responsible for 2% of global carbon emissions, which means that if Britain was to sink into the sea right now, it would make absolutely no difference to the issue of climate change. You know why? Because the future of the climate is going to be decided in Asia and in Latin America by poor people who couldn't give a about saving the planet. There is only one thing we can do in this country to stop climate change, and that is to make scientific and technological breakthroughs that will create the clean energy that is not only clean, but also cheap. And the only thing that wokeness has to offer in exchange is to brainwash bright young minds like you to believe that you are victims, to believe that you have no agency, to believe that what you must do to improve the world is to complain, is to protest, is to throw soup on paintings. We know that the way to improve the world is to work, is to create, it is to build. And the problem with woke culture is that it's trained too many young minds like yours to forget about that.
Yo, that was straight facts.
That was powerful.
We have to react to that thing he did, to that talk, whatever. He said so much there. That's crazy, so much.
In like a matter of 1 minute.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because all thing he just said is facts, for real.
This guy's clapping.
Chris
Yes.
Morgan.
The slow hand clap, that's what every comedian works for, Piers.
Let me do it faster. I've done the Oxford Union, tough crowd normally, but you actually won a lot of them over. They were quite respectful, and I think you were probably a bit surprised by the response. It's gone viral, global, all over America as well, because it really resonated with people. I think rather like me, where I'm not right wing, I'm not left wing, I'm kind of slightly centre, I guess, politically about stuff. A liberal more than not, but I find this ultra woke mentality so illiberal that it borders on the very fascism they profess to hate most. So to see you go into the lion's den a bit with all these woke students, and actually what I thought was impressive about it, Konstantin, was the way you didn't demonise them. And maybe that is the way to progress and get this woke nonsense dealt with properly, is that you don't demonise them, you actually show them a better way.
I think so, and like you, I identify as politically non-binary, Piers. And so that's the angle I was approaching from. And look, the fact is, both you and I know that when we were 18, 20, we were idiots as well, and we were very cocky and sure of ourselves, and we thought we knew the answers to everything.
What we didn't have was the internet to brainwash us.
And we didn't have this very powerful ideology, actually. Wokeness is an
Yeah.
ideology, and there's some very strong concepts behind it. But that all aside, I mean, I found that I had a very interesting encounter, because you once have seen this, but we had to wait quite a long time before the debate started. And I actually was talking to one of the students in the bar, and she couldn't believe that I even thought the woke people existed. Like, to her, this was unicorns. But she came up to me after the debate and asked for a selfie. And that's kind of what I thought really summed up the whole experience. We've got to remember, these are young people in their mind. They're open to persuasion. We got to make better arguments. And I think antagonizing people, and we've all been there, you and I and everything else, my journey with my show, Trigonometry, it's been an evolution too.
Yes.
I haven't started out like this necessarily. But what I've come to now, and maybe it's being a father of a young child now as well, I'm starting to see that, these are kids, and we have a responsibility to persuade them, to convince them with rational argument. And look, when you're speaking to bright people like the ones at Oxford, you've got a chance.
Yeah, I feel like here's the point where when you're trying to convince somebody or persuade, like, the best way to do it is not by like demonizing them or calling them dumb and stupid and this and that, because then they put their defenses up. You know what I mean? But I think it's about trying to like understand the other point of view and explain your situation. Of course, the work people are not really used to that. They're used to just like bashing people and calling them names. But I feel like if you use the same methods, you're just gonna create more separation. Because when you do that, people just put the guard up. I feel like the way he's saying that we should be doing it is the right way to do it. but not everybody have that skill.
Well, that's how natural debate is supposed to be. When you're actually debating with somebody versus just having a full blown argument. A debate is when you actually understand the opposite point of view and then you structurize yourself into talking about your point of view and why you disagree with theirs.
Yeah.
Instead of just being like, you're dumb, F you, let me throw stuff at you, let me scream in your face. And when you get to that level, you're more having an argument with them as if like you are in a relationship or some sort where you're all heated with emotion and you're just screaming at each other instead of actually sitting down and having an actual debate about the two sides that you are for and against.
Yeah, what I say is what's supposed to happen is not always what happens, because we're humans.
Yes.
Continue.
I mean, one of the worst aspects of wokery is the way that people now feel too afraid to express opinions. And it's becoming a real thing where people, I had Dame Joan Collins on here, didn't want to say what she thought a woman was. And she's one of my favourite people in the world, Joan. And obviously knows what she believes a woman is, but didn't want to raise her head over a parapet just to be shot down by the trans lobby or whatever lobby it may be at any given moment. There's this mob mentality. If you don't agree with me, you must be cancelled immediately, shamed, vilified, J.K. Rowling, whoever it may be. How have we got to this place? What's fueling it? How do we deal with it?
Well, first of all, I know that you're shocked by it, and I think a lot of people in the West are shocked, but actually as someone who grew up in the Soviet Union, this is very familiar. I mean, this is exactly what we had, and that's one of the reasons I'm in this country, is my grandfather said the wrong thing and was forced into exile. So this is actually, if you think about human history, pretty standard. We just didn't expect it to be happening in the 21st century. And I think technology is a big part of it. Social media allows people to mob other people.
Well, it fuels also tribalism. It fuels this sort of righteous indignation that people, the victimhood.
And
people
there's power. Don't forget, there's also
Oh, there's
power.
real power. And the power actually manifests itself from the mob going to corporate world and demanding that they fire people and get rid of people who don't agree with their view.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people, particularly, and, this isn't an attack, but, if you don't have a lot of meaning in your own life, this is a way to get some meaning because you tap this thing on your phone or on your keyboard and suddenly a famous person's getting cancelled.
Right.
Before I continue, the saying, history repeats itself?
I was just thinking that.
Yeah,
I was going to say that.
Like saying how in the Soviet Union, this is exactly what happened. Where you shut down speech, you get jailed for opinions. That's when things starts going down. That's when you start to see the beginnings of, what they had in the USSR or I don't know, communism or something, and like they have been, So that's how that's the beginning of it.
It's funny and sad at the same time because it's everything that we fought against when we were first becoming what we are today, which is supposed to be one of the greatest countries in the world, is now coming again freedom, full basically. Circle. And it's like he said, we never expected this to happen in the 21st century, and here we are.
Especially now it's easier to radicalize because of social media, right? And also like you were saying, the reason this country was founded is because they believe that people should have more freedom. As opposed to when you have a king, the king's like the ultimate power. Whatever he says goes. So you have no freedom.
When it came to voicing our opinions.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's part of having that freedom to actually have your opinions. Because in the past, if you had a negative opinion against the king, guess what?
You got beheaded.
Yeah. I think also now in some countries, like in North Korea, if you say something bad about Kim, you know what I mean? So I think now if you're gonna get jailed for saying the wrong thing, or get demonized or get those kind of things, then it's starting to mirror what they have in those other countries.
I think that's a big part of it. But on your keyboard and suddenly a famous person's getting cancelled. I think that's a big part of it. But as I say, and as you frankly point out, I think the solution here is to be reasonable, to talk to people, to try and persuade them, while also, of course, we got to stand up and not allow these cancellations to happen. And that means that, TV producers and big corporations, they have to step up as well.
I mean, I was forced out of...
I think the producers and the big corporations, I think they're done. I think what has to happen, individuals has to start their own thing. And the corporations are owned by certain people, and those certain people want a certain narrative to be shown to the public. So I think the corporations are done. I think individuals have to actually be the ones to create their own media or their own thing. So we're not controlled by by the corporations. I think YouTube is a big part of that. Where YouTube, there's a middleman. You make a video and it goes out to the
world.
public. Exactly. You don't need a corporation
But
to.
that goes back to
police
history repeating itself. If you remember, freedom of press was a huge thing because the corporations were in control of the news and the narrative that they wanted to represent. So it took the people to revolt and fight back and do their own press to get the right news out there, to get the freedom of speech out there that they wanted, to be able to make the world that we have today.
To inform people what's going on without having
Now history is repeating itself again, where you have news outlets that are showing only the narrative, and you look to places like you said, YouTube, to find the truth.
You kind of have to now.
Yeah.
You can't go to like
Fox News,
MSNBC, CNN. You can't go to them anymore. You have to go to an independent.
Anymore.
Yeah, exactly. You have to go to an independent.
And even if they do, by some holy grace, go back to showing the right narrative, can you even believe them?
No one is going to.
Exactly.
Than my last job for disbelieving Meghan Markle, which seems. I mean, I was forced out of my last job for disbelieving Meghan Markle, which seems preposterous now, given the nonsense that comes out of her mouth. But that showed me that when the mob attack the corporate world will often bow to the mob because actually they're just terrified of the consequences.
Oh, I've seen that happen multiple times.
Revenue, sponsors, and so on. That's the way they do it. It's very well marshalled and well organised, albeit they're quite a small number of people. They're just well organised.
Yeah, and they're able to create the illusion that there is lots of them because on social media you can get a lot of traction with not a lot. But I think you're right, and I think the fact is that we're building an alternative ecosystem now. Shows like mine on YouTube, and there's going to be companies that are making products that don't care if you're woke or not.
Yeah.
Advertisers that are not interested in the stuff. And I actually said this on Twitter today. I think the future isn't woke or anti-woke. The future is post-woke. We just got to move past this.
Well, the trouble is the word has become toxic. Originally, woke meant that you were just more alert to racial and social injustice.
Yeah.
Well, we would all sign up to that. Anyone with a brain and a conscience would say, yeah, I can sign up to it. But it's been hijacked by the ultra-wokies, who basically are a form of fascist.
Who are using this for their own ends. And I think that's why all of us have actually just got to move past it and go, this is a period in human history which was pretty stupid. Let's move on. Let's see how we can work together. But Piers, we've got to change the way that we have political conversations in this country, because that's where this polarization is coming from. And we carry on down this path, it's very dangerous.
Well, that's so tribal as well, and toxic, and hyper-partisan, fueled again by social media. People don't want to admit anything wrong with their side.
Right.
And it's so refreshing when occasionally you hear one of them do it. You know, you think, wow, there's someone prepared to criticise their own side, as if it's somehow a football team and you can't admit to giving away a booking or something. So why?
Yeah.
How do we get to that place in a democracy? The whole point of democracy is that actually we have a debate and we reach consensus.
Well, right, and that's what I quite often do as my audience grows and expands. I go out of my way to annoy some of them, to just kind of position myself correctly, because I don't want to be playing to any echo chamber. I'm trying to just be honest about what I think.
There was something earlier about how the corporations are afraid of the mob. I think that's the reason if an individual starts to, rally the mob, like Andrew Tate, you know what I mean? Like, because he has so many people behind him, that's when the corporation starts to, like, be afraid. Because if he says, go do this, or like this corporation is bad, don't buy anything from them, guess what? Now the profits.
Well, that's kind of what's happening right now with, have you heard about Bud Light and Budweiser and all them?
Yeah.
Nobody's buying those beers. They're sitting on the shelves because of a rally of men that are protesting against what they are trying to...
Now imagine if you have an individual saying, don't, I don't know, for example, don't buy from Walmart anymore because Walmart is this, Walmart is that. A lot of people will just do it. So they're afraid, and they'll have the right to be afraid of someone who's in charge of so many people, and young people too, because young people are the future. So, in their point of view, you understand why they wanted to cancel him and, just destroy him. It makes sense.
trigonometry, you're going to go gangbusters on the back of this viral clip. I mean, are you surprised by how it's taken off?
I mean, it's going to sound arrogant, but I'm not. I felt pretty good on the night, particularly, you know.
No notes, I noticed.
I'm pretty clear on what I think about it now. You
Yeah.
know, we spent 5 years on trigonometry interviewing all sorts of fascinating people, you know, the Douglas Murrays, the Jordan Petersons, lots of people on the left trying to understand what's going on. Because, you know, the story of us is it's two comedians, didn't really know what was going on, but what we felt was in comedy, there was a lot of hypersensitivity and outright censorship going on. We could understand where it was coming from. So we thought, let's talk to people who are smarter than us, who can explain what's going on. And now I'm pretty clear on what I think about
Well,
it.
you've been trying to get me on trigonometry for a while.
When are you coming on?
I will now publicly agree, and we're going to do it at our mutual friend's restaurant, Il Portico in Kensington. Set a date, I'll be there. Let's put the world...
I feel like I was gonna say something, but I forgot. Because we were talking. I had the idea. Yeah, I remember now. We should react to the original clip of him talking about these things, because I feel like he has a lot of good points, and I wanna, give my thoughts on some of them. The clips I saw, he had some really good points that people don't usually speak about. For example, the one about how in order to heal the pollution of the earth, whatever. The countries that are actually doing that the most are the third world countries that don't have clean energy. Because United States can put billions of dollars into clean energy. If you go to South America, they don't have that money to put into clean energy. So they're going to use what's the most, easy, cheapest thing to do. And those are usually the ones that are not healthy for the environment. So in order to fix that, we have to actually help those people first. Because if you don't, then they're going to keep polluting the environment while you are going to all EVs, and then nothing's going to change. You know what I'm saying? But, I'll give them all my opinions on that video. Anything you guys say?
Yeah, I feel like we, especially now, the road that we're going down, we need more men like him and Andrew Tate and Donald Trump.
People like him in general, not just men. People like him in general,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Candace Owens. People like that are
I
not
feel
afraid to.
Those not so that because a lot of women would not listen to men anymore. They will only listen to women. I think we also need women to be speaking facts too, so they can get the women to actually listen.
But if you, it also depends on how you speak. I would say, women will listen to this guy more so than they would Andrew Tate and Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Because it's
Definitely.
how he's presenting himself. Andrew Tate and Donald Trump speak very manly men. You know what I mean?
But
they're
usually,
more like.
I think what you need to do to get that popularity is to say things bluntly that will attract people to either agree with you or disagree with you. That's how you gain the fame, like
Even
Andrew
the people
Tate
that-
does.
even the
But
people that
that
disagree
comes
with you.
with so I'm saying, but that comes with, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's gonna get you fame, but then half your audience are gonna hate you, half the audience are gonna love you.
Yeah, but the
somebody
audience that will hate you you might be able to sway.
yeah, but
Think
they're not
of a
gonna
lot of-
listen to you. They're not gonna want to. You must see the girls interested. Is this? Is that? Is that?
Yeah,
Without
but think of all the people that hated Donald Trump a few years back, and now you see them on TikTok and YouTube saying that they bite their words of what they said in the past because they realize that he actually helped out a lot more
But-
so than the narrative was telling
The
them
only
he did.
pushback I would give to that is that he lost in the last election. So how many independents did he really sway? Because he lost in the last election. So I'm saying it's a double-edged sword where somebody like this who's saying things in a way that's gonna get both sides to actually agree, but since he's not saying something that's too controversial, he's not gonna get that much fame. So his journey is gonna be a little bit slower than Andrew Tate or Trump. That's what I gotta say about that. But yeah, guys, anything else to say? No? I guess we'll save our opinions for the video we're gonna be reacting to him.
Later on.
Yeah, guys.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Bye.